Okay, so we have some print bed preparation we need to do here. We're going to get into another one of these short videos. Brad McConnell from Eastern Iowa Community Colleges, and again, funded partially by the National Science Foundation. So even though we've got a PEI print bed and we get pretty good adhesion, we're going to use a glue stick. They suggest that with PLA, and especially on this PEI type surface. So we're just going to put a little bit, you don't have to have a lot, just a little bit of glue stick down there. Once it gets where you've printed 2 or 3 or 4 times, you want to take maybe some isopropyl alcohol and a washcloth and get rid of that and then clean it all up. If you let it build up too much, it really becomes a pain to get off. Okay, so again, I don't have my laptop hooked up here. We're going to print this from an SD card. So I've got my SD card here, and for some reason this is designed to go in backwards. So I'll go ahead and enter it into the SD slot here. And so it says card inserted, so I know I'm ready to go. I'll hit my little button here again, scroll down until it says print from SD. You remember last time it said no SD card. So now we've got one in there and it says print from SD. So I'll hit my button, and I've got several different files on here. So it's going to give me a choice of the ones that I want. So it says simplified test part BEMV2. This is a different one that I had here, and the simplified test here. That one was the original version I had, and then I wanted to change the orientation over. So I'm going to go back up to my V2 and press that. And again, it's set up. The G code has been written, and it's been sliced through Simplify 3D for PLA. And so I know when I set it up, I had it in the middle of the build plate. So now you can see my printer's going down, and it's trying to do kind of what I would call not a homing, but it's trying to find and make sure it's at 0, 0. Everything is going to start from there. So once it's convinced that it knows where it's at, it'll come down and start hitting on the corners to level the bed. Now what it's doing, remember from one of the earlier videos, the cleaning bar here, it had some filament on the tip of the hot end, so it heated up and cleaned that off. Now it's going to start touching off on all of the corners. And this process is something that goes through every time. We used to have to, and some machines are still this way, level the bed each time manually. And so these kind of tools that come on the printers now, on some printers I should say, are those of us who have been around using these printers for some time, we really appreciate this, these types of little functions like the self-leveling. So if it doesn't get level, it'll come up here and error out to me up here. So it's checking the 4th corner now. And hopefully everything will be good. Typically, if it's not going to be good, it'll let you know early. It'll have to go back several times and clean off the tip if it can't find its 0, 0 spot. So now you'll see it says bed heating. So we've got a heated bed on this Taz 6, the Lulzbot Taz 6, which is another nice feature. The glass bed with the PEI surface, and then this gets up. I think the bed can heat up to close to 100 degrees, which allows us to print some pretty high-end material. Now, the print head must have already been, the hot end's already at 202, so it's going to start printing, and it should start printing a skirt for me. And I'm kind of hesitant now because I'm not getting any material out. But, you know, that kind of thing happens. We'll start getting some pretty quick because I can feel it feeding. There we go. So now what it's doing is it's laying out the skirt. I asked it to put a couple of rounds of material on the outside of the part just to make sure that we were getting material feeding. I asked it to do 2 contours and then 2 layers high. So we're not going to watch this entire print. Of course, it's a couple hours of a print, but I want you to see it begin to get going. Then we're going to pause the print and we'll go away for a while and come back and take a look at the inside of it, so we can show you the contours, the outside contours, and we can also show you then what we've got for infill. And it looks like it's doing okay right now. We'll just hang around here a little while longer. I've got several things going on this part, and I'm going to put the modeling video when I modeled the part out as well, so you can take a look at the way I modeled it inside SolidWorks. So I've got the basic rectangle, and then it's got a cutout that's going to need support. It's got a diameter in it. I think the diameter is 750 thousandths that goes all the way through. And then I've also got a tower or a cylinder that protrudes and extrudes up, and that is also 750 thousandths in diameter and extrudes up 1/2 inch. So I'll kind of see if I can move around and get you a view of what's going on here. And again, this print's going to be a couple hours, so we'll break away from it and let it start doing its thing. And then once I see that it's got some interesting stuff going on, we'll come back and get right to it. So you can see the infill and see some of the contours. You can see now, as the bed shifts, that it's starting to print pretty well. Okay, we'll be back when it's doing something more exciting.